This is our New England trip where we spent from October 4th through the 14th, 2 days in New York City, and then 10 days on a New England cruise. This is Times Square, where we walked from Times Square along Broadway. We saw the play Chicago and various sites along Broadway, Hershey World, M&M World, and we saw part of the downtown part of New York City before we embarked on the cruise, the Caribbean Princess, on the evening of October 6th. This is our cruise ship, this is our stateroom, and we enjoyed that for 10 days. This is on the cruise ship, on our deck, looking across to Jersey City, and this was on the evening of Saturday, October 6th, just before sailing. You can see Governor's Island in the background. Of course, the Statue of Liberty and on Liberty Island, and we're just getting ready to sail. Now we're underway, we're just getting off and we're leaving New York City, Jersey City in the background, Staten Island coming up, Statue of Liberty again coming up here on Liberty Island as we're leaving the cruise ship, and we're underway leaving toward the Atlantic Ocean, where we'll be sailing north to Halifax, Nova Scotia. That will be our next stop. So we're now sailing in the Atlantic Ocean, and this is a beautiful sunset the first night that we're sailing, and of course all kinds of festivities on the cruise ship, dinner every night, activities in the lounges, entertainment. This is a casino. Spent a little bit of time and money there. Now we are pulling into Halifax, Nova Scotia, and this is early Monday morning, October 8th. You can see a lighthouse on a small island there, looking from the cruise ship to downtown Halifax. Halifax is the capital of Nova Scotia and 372,000 population. We took a tour of Halifax, including this Fairview Lawn Cemetery, which has many of the victims of the Titanic buried there. This is our tour guide we had that was in full Scottish costume that was telling us about it. The Titanic started sailing on April 10th, 1912, with about 1,300 passengers and about 900 crew members, headed from New York to England. Hit an iceberg on April 14th, sank about 2:20 a.m. on April 15th in the Atlantic Ocean east of Halifax. So Halifax boats were positioned to search and recover the bodies, This you can see is the part of the gravestones that were erected for the bodies that were buried there. They were actually erected in the fall of 1912. There were about 700 survivors. 116 bodies were buried at sea. 306 bodies were recovered. 209 of those were brought back to Halifax, and only 59 were shipped back to their families. The Fairview Cemetery has 121 grave sites. There's 2 other cemeteries in Halifax that have fewer grave sites. We also stopped at the Citadel in Halifax, which is a star-shaped fort built in 1749, and it was in the center of the city. Now our cruise ship is just leaving Halifax. You can see again the part of the city in the background, and we'll be sailing all night. This is more activities on the cruise ship at night. Our favorite bartenders and the piazza showing 3 levels out of the 8 floors of the ship. Now we are coming into St. John, New Brunswick, and it's Tuesday, October 9th. And this is the St. John River near St. John, and it's called the Reversing Rapids. And what that means is, of course, now you can see the river is flowing downstream, and it empties into the Bay of Fundy. But during high tide, this river actually flows back upon itself and flows upstream. You can see the high water mark here when the river flows backwards, 3 or 4 feet higher. This is a river tour that we took by boat on the upper part of the St. John River, and I suppose we went up maybe 10 miles up the river. It's a beautiful scenery. You can see maybe that the fall colors are just starting to turn, maybe 20-25%. It's a beautiful shoreline. There's a little bit of fall color. This is covered bridge. I think just one of very few that are left now. And you can see cars actually going through it. Remember what they said as far as when that was built, but I think it's fairly old. More fall colors along the shoreline. More activity at night on the ship while we are sailing all night. Now we are entering we've entered the harbor at Bar Harbor, Maine. And it's a foggy, cloudy day, and you can see Bar Harbor got its name from these bars, rock bars in the harbor. And even though it was foggy and cloudy, it's a beautiful area. There's an island in the harbor. This is from our cruise ship just as we've pulled in to Bar Harbor, and that's on Wednesday, October 10th. This is downtown Bar Harbor, where we walked around some and ate lunch there. And you can see the harbor in the background, wharfs along the shoreline. This is part of the harbor. That's our cruise ship, the Caribbean Princess, that anchored in the harbor because it wasn't deep enough to get any closer, and they ferried us to shore with by boat. And I just was walking along the shoreline taking some of these pictures. We took a tour of Acadia National Park, and you can see it was very foggy up there. Now we've entered Boston Harbor, and it's Thursday, October 11th. We took a tour of downtown Boston, and this is the public library. This is a reflection of a church across the street on a tall building. This is the church. And we took a harbor cruise of Boston Harbor. This is a few shots of that. Boats in the harbor. And this is Old Ironsides, actually anchored in the harbor there. This is part of our harbor cruise going back toward Boston. Now we're leaving Boston, and we'll be sailing all night to get to Newport, Rhode Island the next morning. Again, nightlife on the ship while we're sailing. This is coming into Newport on Friday, October 12th. It was a beautiful day to begin with, very nice and sunny. But then it turned quite a bit colder and cloudy and windy, and the ship had to anchor in the harbor because the water was so shallow, and they ferried us to Newport. All we did really that day is walk around Newport a bit and eat lunch. Now we're back on the ship and headed back to New York City, and we're back there on Saturday, October 13th.